3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is Genesis, and you're watching Dontaesboxingnation.
Dontaesboxingnation, what's going on, guys? Now, before we get into this story, for any of you guys that's interested in working with new media and you want to cover the fights live, if you're in California, Miami, DC, Baltimore area, New York, Texas, and even in the UK, if you're real serious about covering fights, contact me at dontaesboxingnation@gmail.com. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this video. So this past weekend, just in case you didn't know, Tyson Fury, he was involved in a fight that no one really paid attention to or watched or promoted, because instead of him fighting Usyk for undisputed or Joe Joyce, someone like that, he decided to fight Derek Chisora. So after Tyson Fury beats Derek Chisora, ESPN's Mike Coppinger, he puts this photo up on Instagram. And of course, Mike Coppinger, he understands a picture says 1,000 words. That's why he put this picture up. That's why, even though his caption was congratulating Tyson Fury for his performance over Derek Chisora this past weekend, he included pictures of other fighters, other black fighters coincidentally, like Dillian White and Deontay Wilder, which would be equivalent to me doing a post-fight video of, let's say, Errol Spence, right? Let's say he just beat Danny Garcia. And then in the thumbnail, I put a whole bunch of opponents that he beat that were all non-black. What would Errol Spence's other opponents have to do with the guy that he just beat this past weekend, for example? Doing something like that would only make sense if that fighter was retiring and it was some type of tribute type of video. And I'm implying that these are the best guys that Errol Spence or whoever beat in their career. So if you were to look at this picture, and let's say you don't even really watch boxing, right? You're a casual fan. You don't really know who these fighters are. You're automatically going to think, oh, okay, so the white guy has a crown and there's a picture of 3 black guys all beat up, right? You're automatically going to think, wow, this Tyson Fury guy is really good. These guys that he beat, they must have really been some monsters, right? Mike Coppinger is one of the grand wizards of old media. And this picture that he put up was supposed to illustrate the white superiority of Tyson Fury. For those of you guys who don't know too much about Mike Coppinger, I'll tell you this. This is just one small example of who he is. So around the time that Terrence Crawford had stopped Sean Porter, the entire ESPN panel, it was 5 of them at the time. It was Max Kellerman, Mark Kriegel, Joe Tessitore, Andre Ward, Tim Bradley, and Bernardo Usana. So actually it was 6 members on the panel. And all of them on the panel, except for the Mexican analyst, Bernardo Usana, said that Terrence Crawford is pound for pound the best boxer in the world. Bernardo Usana, he said it was still Canelo. So even though pretty much everyone on the panel agreed that Terrence Crawford was pound for pound #1, the best fighter in the world, and even ESPN's website, put Crawford back at the #1 spot because they had him there before. But once again, they were always trying to temporarily find someone to replace Crawford. But the problem is every time they tried to replace Crawford, that fighter would always end up losing. So they would have to put Crawford back at #1 because he outlasted all of these fighters, from Chocolatito Gonzalez to Lomachenko to Canelo Alvarez. So while ESPN and the majority of the panel had already agreed Terrence Crawford was #1, the best fighter in the world, Mike Coppinger presented his personal pound for pound list to ESPN, and he had Canelo at #1. Now that was before Canelo lost to Bivol. Now, even today, after Canelo lost to Bivol, Mike Coppinger still does not have Crawford at #1. Today, he has Inoue or Usyk at #1. And it's kind of crazy because Crawford actually shows this man a lot of love. He talks to him on the phone personally, and still the love and respect is not being reciprocated. So let's go ahead and unpack all of this. Let's start with Derek Chisora. Once again, ESPN's Mike Coppinger, he puts these images together. This is supposed to be a celebration of Tyson Fury. The pictures of the opponents that Tyson Fury beats alone just shows you guys how low the bar is set for boxers that are not black, that actually beat black boxers. What Mike Coppinger is saying with this picture is it does not matter how good the black boxer is. Just the fact that there is a white man that is beating black fighters, period, that alone is extremely impressive. So it's a backhand compliment to black boxers. He's saying, man, do you know how good these black boxers are in the sport of boxing? And this white man is beating black boxers. That is truly amazing. Even if their opponents, like Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte, that had already previously gotten knocked out multiple times. And once again, guys, that's how low the bar is set when you are someone on the hope list beating black boxers. Now, allow me to elaborate and really prove my case. Now, one of the first things, I mean, you notice many things when you look at this image, but one of the first things you notice is Mike Coppinger, he didn't put any pictures of any of the white boxers that Tyson Fury beat. That was obviously done deliberately because this was supposed to show that Tyson is superior to black boxers in particular, despite the fact that fighters like Tom Schwartz actually has a much better record than Derek Chisora does. In fact, everyone has a better record than Derek Chisora. When Tyson Fury fought Derek Chisora this weekend, Derek was going into the ring with 12 losses and 4 knockout losses. And Tyson Fury had already beat Derek twice before the third fight, and decisively. I mean, that would be like Devin Haney deciding he's going to pull out of the Lomachenko fight and instead fight some guy that Devin Haney beat when he was 5-0, right? Completely dominated him. Now that same opponent has 12 losses on his record, and Devin decides he's going to fight him instead of fighting Lomachenko. The same people that are praising Tyson Fury right now were criticizing Devin Haney when he beat George Kambosos, who beat Teofimo Lopez, who beat Vasyl Lomachenko. Imagine what they would have said if Devin would have did exactly what Tyson Fury just did and decided to fight the Derek Chisora of his division. So guys, what type of reporter brags about Tyson Fury beating Derek Chisora or Dillian Whyte? Coppinger is trying to make it look like Tyson Fury beat Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, or even a Lennox Lewis. So let me give you guys just a little bit more contrast. Tyson Fury is in pretty much the same situation that Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford were in. Just like Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, Tyson Fury, he has the option to fight Usyk for undisputed, right? Crawford had an opportunity to fight Errol Spence for undisputed and vice versa. Negotiations fell apart, and now Crawford is fighting against someone else, David Avanesian. Now, guys, pay attention to me. This video is not a debate on whose fault it was, the fallout between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. This is not about negotiations. I only want you guys to look at the contrast. Look at how Terrence Crawford was treated when he announced that he's going to fight David Avanesian next, and when Tyson Fury said that he's going to fight Derek Chisora. When it came to Terrence Crawford, Dan Rafael came out and he said there's no way this man should be considered pound for pound the best fighter in the world if he's fighting someone like David Avanesian. But when Tyson Fury announced that he was fighting Derek Chisora, there was no word from Dan Rafael or any of the other old media members. And as I showed you in his post, Mike Coppinger, he's actually congratulating and praising Tyson Fury, talking about how sharp he looked against Derek Chisora. When I say the bar is set so low for these fighters on the hope list, let's just compare Derek Chisora to David Avanesian as an opponent. David Avanesian, he has knocked out his last 6 opponents. Out of Derek Chisora's last 9 fights, he lost 5 times. But even with David Avanesian being a much better opponent than Derek Chisora is, do you think me or anyone else is going to post an image of Terrence Crawford's opponent, like guys that Terrence Crawford beat, with a crown on Terrence Crawford's head, bragging that he beat David Avanesian? Of course not. When Deontay Wilder was knocking everyone out left and right, including white boxers, you didn't see any members of the media putting up a picture of all of Deontay Wilder's victims. And one of the reasons you didn't see him do it is because we're all used to seeing black boxers knocking out fighters of every different race and nationality. Even when black boxers are knocking out undefeated champions, no one really celebrates for them like Mike Coppinger is doing for Tyson Fury beating Derek Chisora, because these are things that we're used to seeing all the time when it comes to black boxers. I mean, it's kind of like racing somebody on a bike and the guy you're racing actually has training wheels on the bike. And people are actually giving the guy who had training wheels on his bike more credit than everyone that was riding the bikes without training wheels. This is what we see by old media every day in the sport of boxing. Tyson Fury beats Dillian White, Derek Chisora, and Deontay Wilder, and ESPN's Mike Coppinger is putting up images like this. When it comes to Inoue, you couldn't name me 3 fighters that Inoue has beaten without looking it up on the internet. The only fighter we all know that he beat was a 40-year-old Nonito Donaire. And yet old media, they had him on the pound-for-pound list. Some even had him at number 1, while not even having Devin Haney on the pound-for-pound list, while he's the youngest undisputed champion in boxing today. When it comes to Inoue, not only should he not be in the top 3 when it comes to the pound-for-pound list, he shouldn't be on the list at all. Gervonta Tank Davis has faced way better competition than Inoue has, and knocked out way better competition than Inoue has. If old media is going to praise Tyson Fury for knocking out Derek Chisora, imagine what they are really saying about how impressed they are with Gervonta Tank Davis under their breath. We know for a fact, Gervonta, Devin, Shakur, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, the Charlo brothers, they would never fight a Derek Chisora. We know this for a fact. Now let's talk about Deontay Wilder. You know, it's so ironic because when Deontay Wilder was undefeated, old media, they talked about Deontay Wilder as if he was the worst heavyweight champion of all time. You heard Teddy Atlas constantly blasting him, talking about how he has no skill. Matter of fact, Teddy Atlas, he said that Deontay Wilder was one of the worst heavyweights of all time, if not the worst champion, heavyweight champion. You guys all seen the comments. He was windmill Wilder. He was so horrible. But now all of a sudden, once Tyson Fury beats him, now they're comparing Tyson Fury to Muhammad Ali. You guys can't have it both ways. And this is what they do all the time. As long as Wilder is winning, he's garbage. As soon as Tyson Fury beats Wilder, now, oh man, but Tyson Fury beat Wilder. Man, he deserves a statue for that. He beat Wilder. You have to keep the same energy, which they did not do, obviously. So Deontay Wilder is the best name, the best and the biggest name on Tyson Fury's resume. And according to old media, that man was garbage before Tyson Fury beat him. Do you guys recall anyone saying that Sonny Liston was garbage before Ali beat him? Joe Frazier, George Foreman? Hell, when Lennox Lewis beat Vitaly Klitschko, who was the best out of the Klitschko brothers. Nobody was calling Vitaly garbage. Nobody was saying anything bad about Vitaly. I'm sure you guys have heard the saying before, when you black, you gotta work 10 times harder. Some would say just to get the credit you deserve, or some would say just to get half the credit you deserve. And I truly believe this is what makes black American boxers so dominant, because they have always had to work 10 times harder. At the end of the day, Tyson Fury, he's definitely a good heavyweight, but if the best opponent that he's beaten is only Deontay Wilder, then he has a whole lot of catching up to do compared to all the other heavyweight champions. I had so much to say when it comes to this topic, but I gotta wrap this one up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Diki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodiki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs and defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.